All historic NBA players have had their great rivalries on the court and off the court. Interestingly, these feuds have helped our favorite NBA stars reach the heights of their careers as competition only pushed them to do better, and we'd be lying if we said the drama didn't add a little spice to the games. As a token of appreciation for these ballers, we're counting down 10 of the biggest rivalries between players in NBA history, beginning with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. While rivalries are pretty routine in the world of basketball, those between former teammates are a rare occurrence, as in the case of Shaq and Kobe Bryant, or the pair at hand, Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. The two had been known for their friendship as teammates in OKC, but that changed to a bitter rivalry once Durant left the team to join the Warriors. The issue had less to do with why he left and more to do with how. The two had played side by side for 8 years until KD left the team to join the Warriors, who had beaten them in the previous season, and he didn't even tell Russ personally. The enmity had resulted in serious battles on the court, with a few shoving matches here and there that almost ended up in fights at times. However, in a play, KD threw a lob to Westbrook during the 2017 All-Star Game, and they resumed their friendship from there on out. Moving on to Shaquille O'Neal and Dwight Howard's 15-year-old feud. Perhaps this is one of those feuds that'll last till the day the players are old and missing the glory days. Until then, we'll enjoy the drama their rivalry has provided us. The first seeds were sown when Dwight Howard joined Orlando Magic and decided he wanted to own the superhero war cry as well. Despite the fact that Shaq was a part of the Lakers by then, he'd made that his thing when he was a rookie at Magic. However, nothing too bad happened right then, as it gave them healthy competition. But the amusement didn't last long. According to Howard, he wasn't copying a Magic player, neither was it a nod to the DC universe, and since Shaq was playing at the same time, this came off as an offhand comment. After his first year, Howard had made a few rivals with older players that disliked his style and behavior, and Shaq was among those people. Given that the Lakers player was undoubtedly better, the rivalry felt one-sided, but he kept throwing negative comments here and there, making their enmity last decades. Next up, Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan's rivalry will last forever. Some rivalries are bound to happen from the get-go, like when it comes to Garnett and Duncan. Their opposing personalities prompted them to engage in what seems to be lifelong beef. The former Boston Celtic was known for his trash-talking, and he'd try his best to get something out of his fellow great. But the Spurs player has always been the quiet, reserved kind, and hasn't engaged in trash talk the way his rival wanted him to. As two of the greatest men of the 2000s, their competition on the court pushed them to do better. Garnett has appreciated their sparring by acknowledging the importance of having a rival like Duncan, whom he'd been able to measure himself against. So while they've had one of the best rivalries on the court, at the root of their opposition, they have an appreciation for each other's talent and skill. What's more, Russell Westbrook's got beef with Patrick Beverley too. Westbrook is undoubtedly one of the best players of all time, with accolades like being the former MVP and All-Star. So a player of his standard would be expected to have a greater rival than Patrick Beverley. However, these two have never had a peaceful encounter on court. Let's see why. It started during the 2013 playoffs, as Westbrook called a timeout after crossing the half-court line, but Beverley zoomed straight into him to make a play for the ball before the whistle was blown. The collision set the former hobbling towards the scorer's table and pounding it as he fell. He'd torn his meniscus. The same situation took place again, making the former OKC player livid. From then onwards, it was constant sparring on the court, which would even sometimes earn them technical fouls. In a recent development, Pat Bev was traded to the Lakers, making the two rivals teammates. Fans are interested to see how their rivalry plays out now. Following up, Michael Jordan and Isiah Thomas hated each other. It's been 3 decades since the start of their feud back in the late 1980s, and it's still going strong. Jordan was under the impression that Thomas worked with other seasoned players to deny him the ball and take him out of the 1985 All-Star Game as well. The aftermath of this match was seen in the 2020 documentary series The Last Dance, where the Bulls player talked of his rivalry with Thomas and the Pistons, as well as his journey to success with his own team in the 1980s and 1990s. However, Thomas had consistently denied these claims over the years and began to see the far-reaching effects of Jordan's campaigning when the press started pushing the latter side of the story. This prompted the Pistons player to refute these claims and share his side. What's more, in response to the former icing out, Jordan had threatened to withdraw from the 1992 Barcelona Olympics if Thomas was added to the squad. Since the two never hashed out these assumptions, their grievances remain unsorted even now. Not to mention the greatest duo turned rivals, Shaq and Kobe Bryant. A truly historic duo on the court, Kobe and Shaq were in the Lakers together from 1996 to 2004. Their bond resembled brotherhood as they led the team to a three-peat for 3 consecutive years after 2000, in addition to making a finals appearance in 2004. However, even brothers fight and become sworn enemies, which is what happened between the two during Shaq's last season with the Lakers. It got so bad that the team traded Shaq to the Miami Heat and re-signed Kobe Bryant. According to Shaq, Bryant wouldn't let the team win due to his selfishness, but the latter retorted that his offense had no effect on the former's defense, and that's where they were lacking. The feud remained on the down low during the 2001-2002 season, and despite their three-peat and individual accolades, it was a big one. They faced more adversity in 2003 with Bryant's rape allegations, during which he advised Shaq to refrain from provoking him. Their last season together with the Lakers wasn't their best, with them losing to the Pistons for 5 games. Now for LeBron James' greatest beef with Kevin Durant. Amongst the various rivalries he had, LeBron James' beef with Kevin Durant was arguably his biggest one. While the pair didn't have many issues off the court, their sparring on the court was intense and one for the books. This friendly conflict reached a tipping point during and immediately following the 2012 NBA Finals. James' team advanced from the Eastern Conference to face a Durant-led Thunder team that dominated the rest of the Western Conference, dropping only 3 games in the first 3 rounds. For James in particular, grave legacy implications were at stake, and it was Durant, his lone peer, who stood in the way of his first championship. It took the Heat 5 games to bust through that barrier, and it appeared at the time that this would be the first of many finals clashes. Moving to the third biggest rivalry, we've got Isiah Thomas versus Larry Bird. Larry Bird and Isiah Thomas frequently met in the playoffs, most notably in the 1988 Eastern Conference Finals. The real beef between them, however, was mostly off the court, and it started after the Pistons legend made some controversial comments. Thomas once said that if Bird wasn't white, he'd be just another guy, which fueled their rivalry. The feud famously lasted long after their playing days were over. When Bird was hired as the Pacers general manager in 2003, one of his first moves was to fire Thomas, who was the team's head coach at the time. In second place, it's Wilt the Stilt or Bill Russell. Fans were fortunate to see Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain compete at the same time. While the latter had incredible statistics, the former was a serial winner, winning 11 championships during his career. It didn't hurt that the two were regular playoff opponents for the Boston Celtics and Los Angeles Lakers, respectively. Despite their intense rivalry on the court, the two were actually friends off the court. Reigning at number 1, we have Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird. From one pair of Laker and Celtics legends to another. During their careers as the faces of the NBA's 2 greatest teams, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird had a fierce rivalry. The fact that they faced off against each other 3 times in the NBA Finals helped us along. Johnson's Lakers defeated Bird's Celtics twice, giving him a 2-game head-to-head advantage. While the pair had a fierce rivalry during their careers, they've become friends since their retirement. And that's all for this video, guys. Which of these rivalries is your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.